All right, let's talk about a phrase you've probably heard a million times. It's one that might have even, tripped you up before. Today, we're going to break down one of the most common, and let's be honest, one of the most confusing phrases in American English. What's up?
It seems so simple, right? But it can totally stop you in your tracks. So, what is the right way to answer that? It's a super common question, and today we are going to give you the key to unlock it.
I mean, you hear it absolutely everywhere. Walking down a hallway, in a coffee shop, from your friends. It's so common that most of the time we barely even notice it's being said. But if you're learning the language, have you ever felt like it's some kind of trick question? And this is the heart of the problem, right here. Your brain hears that word up, and it immediately goes literal. You start thinking, okay, what is physically above me right now? And that's the exact moment where the whole conversation can just fall apart. Okay, so here's the first big secret. You ready? What's up is usually a question that isn't actually looking for an answer. I know, that sounds totally weird, but just hang with me here. Peppi, the expert from our source material, just hits the nail on the head. It looks like a question, it sounds like a question, heck, it's even got a question mark at the end. But its real job, it's something else entirely. It's basically a greeting in disguise. And this is what happens when you take it literally. You get this poor student giving a perfectly logical, super detailed, and, well, a completely wrong answer. See, they answered the words, but they totally missed the whole point of the interaction. So this brings us to the real secret for unlocking not just this one phrase, but honestly, a huge chunk of casual English. It's all about understanding one key idea, function over literal meaning. And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got what the words literally ask, what's physically above me. But on the other side, you have what the greeting actually means. Hey, I see you. Let's just have a quick social moment. It's not about information, you see. It's all about connection. So this idea of function is absolutely crucial. Think of it like this. Words are kind of like tools, right? Sometimes a hammer is for hitting a nail. But other times, you might just use that same hammer as, a paperweight. The tool itself doesn't change, but its job, its function, is totally different. And that right there is the key. When you give one of those correct answers to what's up, you're not actually answering the words on the page. You're responding to the social function. You're basically just returning the greeting, acknowledging that connection. All right, so what are these magical correct responses? Let's get super practical now and give you the actual tools you need so you can handle this smoothly every single time. Here you go. 3 simple, totally standard, and completely safe responses, courtesy of Alex, the native speaker in our source. Not much, all good, or you could even just say, hey. And notice something? None of them, not one, actually answers the literal question of what is up. And that's because they're not supposed to be answers. They're return greetings. That's all they are. It's like they're the other half of this little social ritual. Someone says, hey, I acknowledge you, and you respond, hey, I acknowledge you too. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, so now you've got the right words, but believe it or not, that's only half the battle. We've got to talk about when it's okay to use them. Social context, it's everything. So if you're with friends, what's up is perfect. Go for it. Classmates? Yeah, that's usually fine too. But what about a teacher or your boss or maybe an elder? Probably not a great idea. It can come off as way too informal. In those situations, you just want to start with something a bit more classic. A simple hi or good morning works wonders. And Alex gives us this absolute golden rule to live by. Start polite, you can relax later once you know the space. I mean, it's brilliant. When in doubt, just start a little more formal. You can always ease up once you get a feel for the situation. It's a totally low-risk strategy that just always works. But it makes you wonder, right? Why does American English even do this? Why use a fake question instead of just, saying hello? Well, it actually points to a much bigger cultural idea, what we're going to call the secret of smooth flow. And this quote from Peppi really gets to the heart of it all. It says that American English often values the smooth social flow more than a literal exchange of information. See, the point of a lot of these casual chats isn't to download data from each other. The goal is just to keep the interaction moving along easily, without any bumps or awkward pauses. It's all about keeping that connection comfortable. So the goal is simple. Keep it easy. Think about it like a conversation is a flowing river. If you give a long, literal, detailed answer to "what's up," it's like dropping a huge boulder right in the middle of that river. It just stops the flow cold. But responding with something easy, like "all good," that just lets the river keep on moving or end smoothly.
And here's what that perfect interaction looks like in practice. Step 1, the greeting. What's up? Step 2, the response. All good. And the result? Understanding is complete, the social mission is accomplished, almost no real information was exchanged, but that connection, it was made successful.
I just love this final thought from Peppi. A greeting that pretends to be curiosity. It's just a perfect way to put it, isn't it? It really captures the weird and wonderful nature of this phrase. It's not just words, it's like a little piece of social technology. A greeting that's disguised as a question. And yeah, that is pretty fascinating. So that leaves us with a big question for you to think about. Now that you know how to look for the function behind the words, what other unwritten social rules are hiding out there in the simple, everyday phrases you hear all the time? Something to think about.